I, 26, male, have been married to my wife, Zoe, 23, female, for 1 year. We had been together for the last 4 years, and in spite of our differences, we had been able to make it so far. Zoe and I come from very different kinds of families, and she has had a very different life from mine. We met each other when we were in college at a mutual friend's birthday party. It was pretty much love at first sight for me because she was the most beautiful person I had ever seen. And when I started talking to her, I realized that she was just as charming as she was beautiful. Over the course of the next couple of months, we got to know each other better through text, and we went out on a lot of dates before getting into a relationship. But it was not until we had started living together that she told me about her family. That had always been a huge question mark for me, since she had told me that she did not want me to meet her family as she did not get along well with them, and had been in no contact with them for a couple of years. After being together for almost a year, I finally told her that I wanted her to tell me more about her family because it felt like she was hiding something from me on purpose, and I was not comfortable with that idea, since she knew everything about me. So then she finally told me that she and her parents were no longer in touch because they had kicked her out of the house when she started college. They had wanted her to drop out and start working so she could contribute to the family. But she wanted to get a degree and they were not happy about it. So they got into a big fight and she left home after they told her that she could get out of their house. She chose to leave, and then, with a lot of help from a couple of relatives and a few friends, she was able to gather enough money to pay her tuition, and then that's how she put herself through college. Apparently, her parents had always been like that. They were really stingy and not even willing to work hard enough to earn their own money. So they were constantly relying on help from relatives to bail them out. That's why most of their family members did not even like their family, and they had been ostracized for how her parents always tried to manipulate people into giving them money and promised that they would return it. But they never would. They ran a flop makeup and beauty business together, and they had wanted her to join them eventually, but she cut them off instead. She told me that it had been a task for her to even get her relatives to agree because of the kind of reputation that her parents had. But thankfully, they pet her because of how desperate she was and agreed to help her without expecting anything in return. She told me that she owed a lot of money to a lot of people, and that was why she was working so hard, so early in life, getting a degree and also making sure that she earned enough money from a part-time job as well. I thought that it was pretty inspiring and I wanted to help her out, so I told her that I would also start contributing and would help her pay off her debts. As I mentioned above, I come from a very different family compared to hers. My dad is an ophthalmologist and my mom is an entrepreneur. She deals in handmade jewelry online and it's pretty successful. So I grew up pretty comfortable and money has never been an issue for me. That's not to say that I don't care about money and I just throw it around. I'm not that kind of person, but I've just never had a struggle with it. That's what I'm trying to say. So when I learned about Zoe's story, I was touched because she had kept it a secret from me for so long because she was afraid that I would think of her as a gold digger, like a couple of other people had said when they first found out that she was dating me. After talking to her about it, we decided I was going to help her out as well, so she could pay off her debts faster. I would send her a specific amount of money every month, and then she would come to me and tell me that it was really helpful. I never bothered to ask her the details of the transactions because I trusted her, and she had never given me any reason not to. I don't think she knew that the money that I was giving her came from my own salary and I was not borrowing anything from my parents. But she did not need to know that, so it was fine. At the time the two of us were living together, she had moved into my apartment and I handled all the bills, and I was earning by then, so it was not a problem for me. She had just graduated, so she was still looking for a full-time job, and I did not want her to waste her salary whenever I was perfectly capable of doing it on my own. We were happy together for the 4 years that we had been living together, including the past year after we got married. Her behavior started changing slightly after we got engaged, but it was not obvious for me to actually notice. And once we got engaged, I got very busy at work as well, since I had to finish everything up before I left for my honeymoon. I did not have enough time to notice small, insignificant things like Zoe spending a lot of time on her phone, often coming home really late from her job, and how she had almost stopped looking for a full-time job. I wasn't worried about any of those things since she had just graduated. I knew that she would find something to do. And then we got married almost a year ago, which was funded entirely by my parents and me. She did not have much family to speak of, so we could not expect her parents to chip in, and very few guests as well. So we believed that it would be best for us to fund the entire thing. She hadn't even offered to contribute, but I was fine with it. I did not think that was strange because she had already explained her situation to me, so I was fine with it. And even after the wedding, I decided to continue paying all the major bills and stuff, not expecting her to split anything with me at any point. She continued to tell me that she was still looking for something, but none of the jobs that were being offered were suited to her taste, and she wanted something a little more challenging. I believed her. And I also knew that she had been working for a really long time, so she deserved some rest, and I did not say anything to her about it. We also stopped at the arrangement where I would send her a certain amount of money every month, and she would be offered debts with it, or at least I believe that that's what she was doing with it. Unfortunately, a couple of days ago, I found out that she had been cheating on me with my boss. I wasn't snooping or anything. It had been completely coincidental. She was in the shower and I was sitting in the living room where her laptop was charging. I think she was watching something. I don't remember. But then, all of a sudden, I saw that she was receiving a voice call on Instagram from an account named Unknown Lover. So my first instinct was obviously to answer the call, and I immediately heard my boss's voice asking her why she had taken so long to answer the call. I hung up immediately and tried to make sense of this. I tried to convince myself that there might be some innocent explanation for this, but then when I opened Instagram on her laptop, and then I opened the chats with this account, I realized that they had been having an affair for quite a while, from before we got married. I scrolled back as far as I could, and I'm really lucky that Zoe takes such long showers because it gave me enough time to scroll back and realize that they had actually started flirting around the time that we got engaged. From what I gathered after reading the chats, my boss, 32 male, had tried to hit on her at my engagement party, and she had responded well to it. So after that, he created a burner account to flirt with her, and that's how their affair started. I realized that they had been sleeping together for a really long time, and she had been more verbally affectionate than she had ever been with me, because in those messages, she constantly kept telling him that she loved him, and she was ready to leave everything for him, including me. It was my boss who was holding out on the relationship because he was also married and even had a child, aged around 5 or 6 as well. He had told her to wait and they would get together soon, and that's why she was waiting with me. To say that I was devastated would be an understatement, and I started crying as soon as I read those messages. In the meantime, Zoe had come out of the shower, and when she heard me crying, she came to my side to comfort me. But then she saw what I was reading on screen and took a couple of steps back. Instead of trying to deny it or apologizing to me, she just stood there silently while I cried. After a while, I got really frustrated and I asked her, what the heck was that? And she told me point blank that she had been waiting for me to find out and had actually been thinking about telling me herself because she didn't want to be with me anymore. She told me that she was exhausted from pretending to love me and confessed that she had actually fallen out of love with me a couple of weeks after we got married. She had realized that my boss was the right man for her. I asked her why she believed that, and she told me that it was quite simple for her because she knew that a broke loser like me would never be able to treat her the way that my boss did. She even bragged about how a couple of months ago she had told me that she was going out for the weekend with her friends and taking a girls' trip, but actually she had been out with my boss and her friends had been covering for her. So that explained all the fancy new gifts that her so-called friends were getting her and all the expensive clothes, bags, makeup, and jewelry that she was sporting all of a sudden. She had been telling me that a friend of hers had come into a lot of money and was treating all of them with these things. But now I know the truth. It was my boss. She said that she was lucky that I had found out on my own, and now she wanted a divorce because she was sick of pretending that she was interested in me. She even said that she would rather be single or be my boss's mistress than be my wife anymore, and this marriage was over. Before I could even process what was going on, she started packing her things. I did not beg her to stay. I had more pride than that, and I was hurting. My heart was broken, and I knew that I had to let her go. She hadn't even tried to deny anything or even apologize to me for what she had done. In fact, she seemed pretty happy to be going. She was about to grab her laptop and leave, but I told her that anything that I had bought for her was nothing. It was my money and not hers. She had a face when I told her that, but didn't try to argue and left the laptop at my house. Everything else that I had bought her remained with me, but honestly, the laptop was more important for me, and I actually had a plan in my mind. I needed that as proof of the divorce because I was not going to let her off easily. And I was also not going to forgive my boss for this because even though we had a good working relationship, he had no right to hit on my wife and then do such nasty crap to me. And the fact that even after he had been hooking up with my wife, he had the audacity to face me in the office and act all nice to me to my face is what pissed me off the most. I was his guy for everything, and knowing that, I had let him count on me, but the fact that he was screwing me behind my back was what really pushed me to the edge. I had done a lot of things for him, going beyond the scope of what was required of me in my job description, and I had always tried to be a great employee, but that day, I made up my mind that I was going to make sure that this guy paid the price for what he had done to me. I knew a lot of the shady stuff that he had been up to, and recently he had failed his drug test that had been conducted company-wide, and I knew exactly where those documents were. I knew he was caught up in a lot of shady and illegal stuff, and if I exposed him for one thing, all his other secrets would come out eventually on their own. He was in cahoots with the team that had conducted the drug tests and had them print a completely different result, one that wouldn't expose him. He had bribed the head of the medical team and had paid him half the money that he had been offering him in advance before the test. But after getting the results that he wanted, my boss had decided to go back on his word and told the other guy that he was not going to pay him the rest of the amount. So they were having a little bit of a tiff. I was the only person who knew about it because my boss had told me that he trusted me and wanted me to speak to the other guy and deal with this. The head of the team had actually sent us the real results of the test to threaten my boss and show him that he was serious, that if he did not get the rest of the money that he had been promised, He would make it known to everybody that my boss had a problem. My boss had received the real test results just a couple of days before I found out about Zoe, and we had been discussing it in his office. He had been really freaked out by it, and I remember where he had kept those papers as well. So the day that I found out about him and Zoe, I made up my mind that I was going to expose him. The next morning, I got up extra early and made my way to the office. I had a spare set of keys for everything, since my boss would often make me run errands and make me come in early for that. I even had a spare set of keys for his office, so getting in there was not any trouble for me. Once I was in, I grabbed the actual test results from his desk drawers and headed to the police station. There, I explained the entire situation to the cops and left them to deal with it. After that, I decided that whatever happened to my boss was not my problem. He got arrested, obviously, since the traces of the drugs that had been found in his bloodstream were not exactly legal. Not only him, but also the medical team that was in charge of the drug tests are under investigation now. So basically, everybody is in a lot of trouble right now, and it's all because of me. I'm not even bothering to hide it. I've told the cops in charge of the case that I'll be here if they need any help, and I have also quit my job because I don't want to be caught up with anything else there. My boss is under investigation right now, and I don't know if he's going to be charged or not, but I am really satisfied with the fact that I got him into trouble and he has been suspended for now. But the claims that I have made turns out to be true. He's going to be fired and then he's going to jail. The only person who is upset about this is obviously Zoe, because she has been calling me for the last couple of days, ever since the news about my boss got out, accusing me of ruining her and her boyfriend's lives. She keeps telling me that doing this to my boss just because I'm mad about the affair is simply not all right, and she's really disappointed. She thinks that what I did was extreme and unfair because it did not come from a place of righteousness, but from a place of revenge, and that's never okay. So AITA for reporting my boss to the police for drug usage. When I found out he was hooking up with my wife. Update 1. 1 week has passed since my post here, and I have filed for divorce. I did it before Zoe, and speaking of her, I have blocked her everywhere. I realized what a snake she was, and I have stopped second-guessing myself. I did the right thing. There are no two ways about it. It doesn't even matter what my intention really was, since I reported somebody who was doing something illegal. My boss is not even a good guy, so I don't have to feel guilty about what I'm doing. Had he been a genuinely nice person with a drug problem, I might have thought twice before putting him through this, but as we all know, that's not what is happening. I feel disgusted that I let Zoe live with me and did so much for her for so long, more than anything else. I feel like a total idiot for being in love with her. A lot of you have asked me if there were really no signs, and I'm sorry. I have to tell you guys that I don't think anybody else in my place would have ever been able to guess at the reality of the situation either. She had been acting perfectly normally with me even after the affair started in earnest. I don't think I would have ever been able to know that she was cheating on me if I had not found out about it the way that I did. So there were no signs, and even if there were, I never would have believed that she was cheating on me because of everything that I had done for her. I did it out of love. I never thought that she was actually using me. I have even begun to doubt her entire story about her not being in touch with her parents because she wanted to get a degree and they wanted her to work. I don't think that's true anymore, and I also don't think that she was using my money to pay off her debts, because there never were any updates on that, and, like a fool, never bothered to ask me, because I trusted her blindly, and I realize now that I shouldn't have done that. It was a huge mistake. Looking back, I realized that I was very idiotic about certain things. I trusted her more than she deserved, But no worries. Now that the divorce is happening, I'm going to get her back. Update 2. So 3 days ago, Zoe was served with divorce papers, and today we got a response from her. She's not contesting the divorce, but she does not agree with the terms of the petition and wants to negotiate. I'm all right with that. She can bring it on. She's demanding that she get to keep the house, a massive settlement amount, and alimony on top of that. I must say her claims are pretty bold. What she has done to me, I don't think anybody who was a known cheater would have bothered to come up with such an elaborate petition to keep everything for themselves and make it so obvious that they are nothing but a gold digger. It's very bad now that she is after my money. There is nothing more that she wants. I don't even think that she cares about my boss that much. Now, he's not in a position to support her financially. She is cold and calculated, and I am glad that I am getting to see the side of her so that it destroys my feelings of love or affection that I still have somewhere within me. I won't lie, I am really disappointed about the way that she has turned out to be, but I know that I'm going to destroy her in court, as it doesn't matter. I can feel disappointment and process my emotions, but first, I have to win this thing. We are meeting with a court-appointed mediator in a couple of days. We'll see how it goes. I also finally found the courage to talk to my parents about this. I had been hiding it from them because I was really ashamed and embarrassed by what was going on. But I realized that this was huge and I needed to talk to them. And I'm glad that I did because they were pretty supportive of me and told me that they were willing to help me out in whichever way that I needed, financially or emotionally. And I think I will need to rely on them for money for quite some time, since I have quit my job and I am currently in the process of looking for another. With all my bills, rent, and now the fee of my lawyer, everything is going to be really expensive for me and I'll have to dip into my savings. I don't know when I'll find a new job since I'm still embroiled in the drug controversy with my boss and he is under trial right now. So I don't think any company will be willing to take me on at the moment. I'm acting as a witness against him and it has been really emotionally draining to do that. But I know that what I'm doing is the right thing to do, and that's what is keeping me going. But honestly speaking, worst comes to worst, I'll just start working for my dad. At least with him, I know for a fact that my boss will never try to screw me over. Update 3. So the negotiations have started. It has been 1.5 weeks since I received the response to my divorce petition. The trial of my boss is still ongoing, so no updates on that. But then negotiations with my soon-to-be ex-wife are not going that well. In the sense that she is being really demanding and is straight up lying through her teeth during these meetings, trying to make me look like the bad guy and villainizing me to justify her claims. She's acting like the victim in the situation, and it's severely annoying me. She shows up to these meetings looking like a widow, like she has been through so much. I can see right through her little act, and it's disgusting. I know what she's trying to do, and it might sway the mediator, but it's not going to work on me or my lawyer. We are not backing down from our claims. We are definitely going to get what was rightfully deserved. There is no way on earth that I'm letting her walk away with the kind of settlement that she's demanding and alimony. I don't even know why she thinks she's entitled to it. Just because she's unemployed right now? I mean, she literally cheated on me. I think that pretty much disqualifies her from it anyway, and I have proof of it. I have the laptop containing all the texts and stuff. She hasn't bothered to log out of her account, and it doesn't matter anyway, even if she does now, since I have screenshots of the entire thing, of all her chats, and I have produced them during these meetings, but she claims that she had apparently been forced to look for love outside of our marriage, because I used to treat her so badly. She is claiming that I used to make her do all the work around the house, I forced her to quit her job, and I promised her that I would take care of her. But now I'm refuting those things that I had said, and I'm going back on my word. None of that is true. We all know it. And it just boils my blood every time she starts saying things like that. I have to use all the power in my body to restrain myself from just walking out of those meetings. My lawyer has advised me that I keep my cool, but it's really difficult to do so given the circumstances. I'm really frustrated. I won't lie. I feel like things are getting really difficult for me right now. I'm finding it harder and harder every single meeting to keep my head cool, but I know that I have to get through it. I just hope that things come to an end soon. I still have had no luck on the job front, so that's another disappointment that I have to deal with. The news about me exposing my boss has been doing the rounds, and that sort of negative reputation in our industry, or any industry for that matter, is not conducive for employers to hire me. So it feels like I might actually have to start working for my dad. Nothing wrong with that. I just hope that maybe I might be able to make a way for him clearly. It's going to be very difficult now that I have picked flight with the wrong people. Update 4. Hey, so it has been 2 months since I filed for divorce, and today I'm not going to talk about that, but I am here to tell you guys that my boss is going to jail. I'm not sure for how long. I think it might be 2 or 3 years, but he might get out earlier for good behavior. Anyway, the point is that he is in jail right now. The only person I feel bad for in this situation is his wife. I know for a fact that she is a stay-at-home mom and is completely reliant on his salary for everything. So now that he is not going to be earning, life is going to be pretty difficult for her. I feel bad for her and the child, obviously. They deserve better than this, but unfortunately, this is how it is for them right now. As for me, I have started working for my dad. Surprise, surprise. My dad, thankfully, was really nice about this and did not for once make me feel weird about it. And the divorce proceedings are still going on. We still haven't been able to come to a conclusion about the settlement and all that, so negotiations are still ongoing. But I'm trying not to let her get under my skin anymore. It's much easier now that I don't like her at all. Update 5. Hi, so it's been almost 6 months since my last update. I got really busy after that since I was working for my father, and I forgot to update you guys. Anyway, a couple of months ago, my divorce finally came through. Zoe had to agree to my terms of the petition because that was the best route for her, since the mediator made it clear that if we were not able to come to one decision, then this would go to court and it would be much more difficult for us there. He said to both of us, but I knew that he was actually talking about Zoe because he had been able to see right through her bluff. And she had been able to lie during our negotiation sessions. But she wouldn't be able to do that in family court. There would be really bad consequences of that. So, long story short, she had no other option, and she had to concede. Now, she and I are divorced, and we have no contact with each other. I like it better this way, to be honest. I'm going to therapy, trying to work on myself. It's going to be a long road while trying to get there, but I know I'll get there eventually. I have wonderful friends and really supportive parents. I'll keep them close and get through this. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.